anyone tell you otherwise. Know that your vote is your voice. Don't go away. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Hello everyone. Thank you for joining me once again on MyStage, your platform. For those new to this channel, I am Suzy Q and welcome to this platform. If you have not yet done so, please click the subscribe button on the right bottom of this video to join the Q train wagon and all future discussions. But for now, I would like to focus today's discussion on the coming election. Last week's video was about understanding the fundamental meaning of the Electoral College. I hope I was able to simplify it for everyone to understand. Today, however, is about reminding everyone to be certain of being registered to vote. You may be thinking that, oh, I registered and voted 8 years ago and also 4 years ago. I'm all set to go for this coming election, but is that really the case? Are you sure? Are you really sure? Not so fast. Not so fast. Is that really the case? Whether you will be voting in person or choose to request a mail-in absentee ballot, it is very important to be sure that your voter registration is current and up to date, especially since COVID-19 has given us an overwhelming challenge of an unprecedented election this year. Voting in coronavirus 2020 will no doubt look extremely different from the usual presidential election as we all know it. Even though your voter's registration does not necessarily have an expiration date, there are some unfortunate elements that could potentially affect your eligibility. Here are a few scenarios. 1. If you are someone who hasn't voted for a while, you may not be ready to vote this year because states usually update their voter files periodically to make sure that only people who are eligible can cast their ballot, meaning they remove people that are no longer at that address or have passed away. Different states update their file at different times, and sometimes, unfortunately, infrequent voters can also be caught in that crossfire and might be incorrectly removed from that list. If this pertains to you, then make sure you either re-register to vote or find out if your correct name and address is still on file to vote. Number 2. If you recently moved to another state with a different registration requirement, you may have to take the initiative and find out if you have registered your new home address on your own or if your new state requirements are like those of people living in states like California, Vermont, Oregon, West Virginia, or Connecticut, where citizens benefit from authorized automatic voter registration, meaning you can automatically be added to the voter rolls through the DMV unless you verbally state otherwise and opt out of that option. Residents in North Dakota don't need to register to vote at all. So if you move to a new state, find out as soon as possible what their requirements are for voting. Number 3. If you recently changed your name, maybe you just got married and chose to use your husband or wife's name, or maybe you got divorced and decided to go back to your maiden name after the divorce, you want to make sure that that information gets updated as well, because that information does not automatically update itself once you make that legal change in name. Remember always that the name on your voter registration must match what shows up on your valid government ID. 4. As I mentioned before, voters registration doesn't really expire or become invalid, but if you have moved around a lot since you registered, even if you just simply moved within the same city or merely down the street, you will need to re-register. 5. Every state rule for the registration to vote is different. The timeline after registration depends on your state voters registration laws. In most states, you will be eligible to vote immediately after registering to vote, but it is essential to bear in mind that most states' registration deadline comes weeks or even months before any election. So make sure to check your state deadline dates and familiarize yourself with your state residency requirement and re-register before it's too late to do so. 6. Your voter's registration status may be compromised by legal issue or mental illness. Different states have different ways in which they deal with issues concerning mental illness and with people who have legal problems. It is difficult to know what individual state policies will be in that regard or problems that may arise for the individual voter in such predicament. It is possible that your legal record and mental or medical record could influence your registration status. So make sure to check with your state what your option is if this scenario applies to you, just to be on the safer side before voting day. For those in the tri-state area, October 13, 2020 is the voter registration deadline for general election on Tuesday, November 3rd for New Jersey residents. For residents living in New York, Friday, October 9th, 2020 is the last day to register to vote in person and last day to postmark application for the general election. Postmarked application must be received by a board of election no later than October 14, 2020 to be eligible to vote in the general election. If you became a U.S. citizen as of October 9th, you may register in person at your county board of elections through October 24th, 2020. October 27, 2020 is voters registration deadline in Connecticut. Whether in person or postmarked for mailed forms, that's 7 days before an election. Online voters registration must be completed by 11:59 p.m. on October 24th, 2020. For all states, time is running out, so please check your state for voters registration and make sure you are registered. If you're 17 going to 18 before election day, some states like Connecticut will allow you to register and vote. So make sure you know your state's requirement for voting to vote. With all that said, be mindful that this election is very crucial, especially with the passing of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. This coming election could be historic. So much some of us have taken for granted, which has now come back in full circle to bite us big time in the butt. We chose not to vote, and I'm sorry and forgive me for saying this, but this is not the time to play independence party. What is wrong can be corrected with our voice and our vote. If you are at the same address, same area, and you are a regular voter, you are likely to be all set to vote this coming election. But even so, if I were you, I would still make sure it wouldn't hurt to cross all T's and dot all I's in this category just in case. Double, triple, quadruple check to make absolutely sure that nothing will be hindering you from voting come November 3rd, 2020. That is my diatribe for you all today. Let the gong sound. Please adhere to my voice, adhere to this voice, and do what is right. And do what is right. Remember, your vote is your voice. I hope you all listen and like today's platform discussion on voters registration. To my Q fans and subscribers, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Do not forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Leave all comments and questions below in the comment section or email them to me at suzyakunyadia@gmail.com and I'll get back to you. I have all my social media below as well as on my page. So click it, click away, and let's get acquainted. Once again, I thank you all for tuning in. Until next time, be safe and smart. Cheers.